Most of the creators have received NSPanel Pro around end of July. It was a couple of days or a week or two before it was officially released and still not available for sale. But most of us have decided not to record any video on it because we thought that it was lacking one of the functionalities advertised here, and yes, it still doesn't have internal Home Assistant support, at least not like the one we should have. But today a time has come for me to release the video on how you can run Home Assistant companion app, Home Assistant WallPanel, run it in a headless Chrome or whatever way you want. Today we will be hacking NSPanel Pro thanks to BlakAdder and other community members. If you've watched some of my streams, I already talked about the NSPanel Pro and how I am not impressed with it. The specs and the device itself, it's great, but the firmware that's running on the NSPanel Pro, which in effect is not a firmware, I simply wasn't impressed. I was able to run and connect my rolling camera, on-view camera and test with it. I also installed the EV-Link add-on, which I really don't suggest, at least for now, that you do, because that app is not part of the standard Home Assistant add-on repository. You have to edit by hand, and the devs have already multiple times said no, because it simply isn't the program the way it should work. It is in effect quite opposite, doing things that the add-on shouldn't do to Home Assistant. While Sonoff is still actively advertising that the firmware 1.3.0, which is not the latest because latest is 1.3.1, will support Home Assistant, in effect, it really is not supporting it, at least not how we want it to work. And how we want it to work is we want it to work with the local support. This is a Wi-Fi device that is attached to our Wi-Fi network, and we wanted to control the Home Assistant locally, not through the add-on that then talks to the cloud that then gets back to this device here, that's on our network. But thanks to the BlakAdder and this great walkthrough, we will be sideloading to this NSPanel Pro our own apps. And yes, while I thought everything was done, BlakAdder also released today a new walk or guide on how you can upgrade the WebView, which is something I definitely recommend, because there were some issues later on, if we follow this guide, which were fixed in this update of WebView. So let's start. There is update. Upon further inspection, it seems that ADB over TCP is enabled by default, so you can skip the disassembly and USB cable steps. Install ADB and connect immediately with ADB Connect with the IP address. In case you are using similar panel and not all panels have this ADB over TCP enabled, what you have to do is you have to open the panel. For this you need one screwdriver to pop the front panel, and then you have to unscrew first two bigger screws, which are really small screws, but the others are smaller. And after you've removed the first panel, you then also need to remove the small screws on the board itself. There are, at least in this version, 5 smaller screws. When you're finished with removing all of the screws from the panel, the next step is to disconnect the cable. And be careful not to break the connector or not to damage the cable. After you have opened the latch, remove the cable and lift the PCB so you can access the USB cable. Connect the USB cable, and the next step has to be done on your PC. You have to download the ADB drivers and install them. In the device manager, under Universal Serial Bus Devices, you should see PX30_EVB. This is this NSPanel Pro attached to your PC. The next step is to download Android platform tools. After you download, unzip everything into one folder. I have created a folder called ADB in the root of the C drive, because it's easier as we will have to use command prompt to type in the commands. If you have connected this via the USB cable and your device doesn't have TCP connections enabled, you have to type the following command: ADB space devices space -L, and that will list the devices that have been found. The next step is to type ADB space TCPIP space 5555. While your device is still wired, try if it works. Type the ADB space connect space and then the IP address of your device. If you don't know the IP address of your device, just type ADB space shell space IP space -O space A, and it will display you the IP address of this NSPanel Pro. From this point forward, you can disconnect the device from the USB cable, reassemble everything, and the steps from this point on will be same for you even if you didn't open the device. Once you reconnect or power on your NSPanel Pro, type in command ADB space connect space and the IP address of device. Since the Sonoff app is blocking access to the home screen, if you need to access the home screen, even before we finish everything, you can type in ADB space shell space input space key event space 3. And that will simulate the press of the home button on the Android device. The next step for us is to install a launcher. And there are two launchers. First one that was peak of BlakAdder was Launcher, which I was also using at first when I was testing everything. But with the new guide on how to update WebView, BlakAdder is suggesting even smaller launcher. That one is called Ultra Small Launcher. The links to both the original launcher and this one even smaller launcher are both in the description of the video. There are some differences between both launchers, and you will have to choose which one you want to use. This ultra small launcher is recommended because it really doesn't use that much of a RAM, and this device is not heavy on the RAM it has. The process of installing either launcher, either this ultra small launcher or this launcher is same. You have to download the APK. This is the Android package. For easier installation, I copied these packages but also all future packages that I will be downloading into that ADB folder. And then open the command prompt and type ADB space install space and the file name from that launcher. It is either this ch.deletescape.launcher blah 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 or ultra-small-launcher.apk and press enter. If we continue following guide for the side loading of Home Assistant companion app or something similar, you have to type in the next command: ADB space shell space monkey space -p space then the name of this file space 1, and that should initiate the change of the launcher to this one. On the NSPanel screen, go to Settings, Apps and Notifications, Advanced Default Apps, and set Home App to Launcher, or Ultra Small Launcher if you want to do so. One thing that you definitely need to do is to add the status bar. Status bar allows you to move or navigate throughout the Android UI. You have back button, home button, but also button to show all loaded apps. For this, go to Settings, Display, and toggle Show Status Bar. I would also recommend that you play with the adaptive brightness. I have it on. I was successful with this, but BlakAdder had some issues. Home Assistant companion app has two versions. One version is available through the Google Play Store, and this is the full-blown app. The other version is available via the GitHub, and the link to that minimum version, how it's called, is in the description of the video. I have opted to use this minimal app on my NSPanel Pro. Most of the functionality will still work, and you should have less issues, if any, with that one. The second option, of course, is to run it through the web browser. But NSPanel Pro doesn't have any web browser. For that, you have to download Chromium for Android. Use the same command, ADB space install space and then the name of the APK file to install it on your NSPanel Pro. First time you launch it, it will complain about the lack of Google Play services. Just ignore and proceed. Type in your Home Assistant dashboard URL and open it up. After logging into the Home Assistant dashboard, tap the three dots on the upper right corner and add page to home screen. From now on, if you want to start the Home Assistant, you just need to tap in that icon and it will open the Home Assistant dashboard in the full screen view. That means that you will not be seeing address bar, which is great because screen, it's not big to have everything on it displayed at once. Okay, so while I was playing and testing with this NSPanel Pro, couple of you had questions. First was Alexei asking if something could be installed on the NSPanel Pro. He was interested to see if Home Control 2.0 is working. And yes, even without this updated WebView, it was working, or at least I was able to run the app and open the login screen. But since I don't have any devices that can control, I wasn't able to test further on how the app is working. The next question was the WallPanel. For me, it just got stuck on the loading screen. It wouldn't open no matter what I tried. So it was a no-go. And I have to admit that after a couple of restarts of NSPanel Pro, for me nothing would open up. Even that Home Assistant companion app that was working okay for me, it just didn't want to open. I was stuck with the use of the Home Assistant through the Chrome browser, which was also okay. Then, today, BlakAdder released a new guide. The problem was that WebView, which is currently installed on the NSPanel Pro, through the Android 8.0 was simply old and it didn't support a lot of functionality that we need for Home Assistant. But with this new guide, we now have a way to update WebView, and all of the applications will work perfectly on this little device. From this point forward, I will assume that you already have access from your PC to the NSPanel Pro via the Wi-Fi network. If not, then you will have to do that previous steps. Open up the box, connect the USB cable, install everything, close the box, and you will have Wi-Fi access to it. First step in this guide is to install a launcher. If you have previously installed Ultra Small Launcher, you can skip this step. If not, just download the file, copy it to your ADB folder, and run the command ADB space install space and then ultra-small-launcher.apk, and this will install the launcher on the NSPanel Pro. Simulate the home key press with the command adb space shell space input space key event space 3, and on the NSPanel Pro you will be offered the selection of launchers. Select launcher because this is this ultra small launcher as default launcher. From the APK mirror, download and install XPosed installer. Once again, download it, copy it to the ADB folder, and then run the command adb space install space and the name of the APK file you just downloaded. Next step is to download XPosed framework. Go to the web page, download the APK file, and then create subfolder where you will extract this file. And after you have unzipped the contents of that file, select the subfolders, there should be 2 subfolders, and create a new zip file, this time in a tar format. I reuse the original file name. In the next step, we have to push this file to our NSPanel Pro. Type in the command adb space push space the name of the file, which in my case is the same as the downloaded file from the website, and then give the path to where we want to copy this file. In our case, this needs to be space /SD card /download/. We now have to open the shell command, and we do that by typing the command adb space shell, enter. We need to switch to super user. We do that by typing cu or su. Then we need to make file system writable. This is mount space -0 space rv for read and write, comma, remount space /system. We now have to navigate to the folder where we have uploaded our XPosed framework. In our case, it's a cd space slash sd card slash download slash. Next step is to extract this file. We use tar command, tar space minus xvf for extract verbose file, and then after space we just write the name of the file. We have to be able to execute the script. Type in the command chmod space a plus x space and then the full path that includes also additional subfolders such as meta-info/com/google/android and then on the other flash-script.sh. We need to be able to run this script. Next step, of course, is to run the script itself, and we do that from the folder where our files are. So go back to download folder, sh, then the full path to this flash script. XPosed framework is now installed but not activated. You need to reboot the device. Once the panel has rebooted, you can use the ADB space shell space input space key event space 3 to open the launcher once again and open the XPosed app. You can ignore the warning and make sure that the screen is green because this means that everything has been installed and activated as it should be. Okay, we are almost done and we are just a couple of inches from being able to run whatever we want on the NSPanel Pro. Next thing is to install AnyWebView. Once again, from the GitHub repository, download AnyWebView, copy it to the ADB folder and type in the command ADB space install space and the name of the file, which in this case is AnyWebView.apk. Just be careful, you have to copy the letters as they are. If there is a capital letter, it has to be capital letter also in this command. Go back to your NSPanel Pro, open XPosed, open the modules in the left menu, and activate AnyWebView with the tick on the box. We now have to reboot the device. For that, in the XPosed menu, click on 3 dots and select Command Reboot. You now have option to download a couple of versions of WebView or updated WebView. You can use either Android system WebView or Bromide WebView. No matter what version you are using, the steps are similar, so download either one or the other from the links provided in the description of the video. And let's repeat the process one more time. Copy the downloaded package to the ADB folder, type in the command ADB space install space, and in case you are using Android system WebView, you have to put everything inside double quotes. So it's double quote, Android system WebView, blah blah blah, close the quote. Or what I have done, I have just renamed the local file to use underscore instead of spaces, because you cannot have space inside the command. This is really big install and it will take some time for this to get installed. As I mentioned, I've installed both Android system WebView and Bromide WebView, which you can also do, because if, for example, one doesn't work for you, you can then use the other one that is already installed. After the command has finished installing, go to Settings, System, About Phone, Build Number and type Build Number option 7 times to enable developer options. I already had it enabled, so yeah. In the developer options, navigate to WebView implementation and choose your WebView instead of the outdated Android system WebViewer 6.0.3163.98. In my case, as I mentioned, I first installed Android system WebView and I had issues with the apps not properly working. That's why I installed Bromide WebView and I'm currently using Bromide WebView. Previously, we've seen how you can use the Chrome to start the Home Assistant headless or in full screen mode. But I think that running Home Assistant companion app is much better because that's Android app and it's written for the Android phone. And it also is able to pull sensor data from this device and push them to Home Assistant. So we will have information about the proximity, which is working a bit weird, but we also have a temperature information on how hot or cold this device is, etc. So let me first show you on how you can install Home Assistant companion app. Go to GitHub repository, the link to the latest release of the Home Assistant companion app, which is currently beta 2.7.3 at the time of the recording, and in Assets, download Home Assistant minimal beta version, which was released just yesterday. The rest of the steps are the same as they were previously. Copy this downloaded package file to the ADB folder, run the command apk space install space and the name of the file you just downloaded. It will install the app on your device. Then go to the NSPanel Pro. Just click on the icon of Home Assistant, it will open the Home Assistant and everything else is familiar. You have to select or type in the IP address or the URL of your Home Assistant, type in your credentials and you're good to go. But I've mentioned that you can also run WallPanel, which is web-based dashboard for home automation platforms, and in our case this is the Home Assistant. You can do so by installing the package once again, the same way we installed the packages previously. Go to Release section, Assets, select this latest release APK, which is from the March 30th of 2022. Copy to the ADB folder. In the ADB folder, type in the command ADB space install space and the WallPanel app, which is the file name that you just downloaded. It will install this WallPanel and then you will be able to start the WallPanel and once again configure it to suit your needs. In this case, type in the IP address of your Home Assistant. Okay, we are finally done. But I think that this was worth it. When this device first arrived at our house, my wife really liked it. And she said, yeah, I really would like to have this device somewhere on the wall so I can control the light, see the temperature, see the camera feed from the outside, etc. But I wasn't able to provide, that minimum functionality. With all of the help from BlakAdder and other community members, we are now able to install and run something else than the stock NSPanel Pro Sonoff software. And I really do believe that this device is now something that most of you could use in your setup. Is it worth buying? I leave that to you. The link, by the way, to this device is in the description of the video. But if you are really feeling itch to buy something, I would recommend that you go to my merchandise store and see if you can find something there for you or some of your friends. I really do believe that in the future we will be seeing more and more hacks around this NSPanel Pro, but also other similar devices, because they really can be useful, and I really wish that the price would go down. For $89 or almost $90, you could probably get some small tablet or something similar somewhere on a sale or used on the eBay. But with this hack, I really do believe that this device is now useful for all of you Home Assistant or home automation users out there. I really would like to once again thank BlakAdder, but also all the wonderful people that are supporting me and have become YouTube channel members. And some of them have been really supporting me for a long time. Thank you. But also thanks to each and every one of you who has watched, liked or subscribed to my channel. If you too want to support the channel, you can do so by becoming a YouTube channel member. But also you can use the thanks button, which is located under each of my videos. Once again, thank you for all of your support and I'll be seeing you next time. Until then, bye bye and have fun.